Hi, Florence. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be talking to you. I was really looking forward to this interview because I'm a huge fan of your music and I believe a lot of people should listen to it. And because of that, I want to start this interview by asking you if you remember when music grew on you and it pushed you so much to create your own music. Do you remember that first time that you had the desire to create music?
I do remember. Um, I watched the movie Walk the Line, which is the movie about Johnny Cash. You've seen it,
Yes, of course.
okay? Well, before that, I never made music before, and I picked up a guitar that night.
And it's interesting how sometimes life gives us something that pushes us to do something different, something new. And in your case, it was music. And once you created or you started making music, I want to ask you if you remember the first time that you wrote your first song and you shared it with someone.
Mm. It was very shortly after that. It was about 3 days after that movie, and I shared the song with my mom, and she was very impressed. She loved it. Um, Still thought that there was a lot for me to improve on. Not in a negative way, but she was the first person that I shared the song with, and she liked it a lot. She was very impressed, and um, there were certain people in my life that I shared my songs with. I cultivated a small audience of people, and their opinions meant quite a lot to me.
Once you started working on this project, also another challenge was how to create music to portray your emotions. And I think that's one big challenge because not everyone has the ability to put everything that they are feeling into a lyric or into a melody. So I want to ask you, how do you connect with your inner self to exactly portray everything that you're feeling at the moment?
It's sort of I can't really explain how. I'm just very sensitive, and I've always been kind of a loner. Um, and it isn't, it's very natural to express those feelings. And it feels amazing to be able to um, specifically, specifically express that specific thing that's within us. It's very rewarding, but I can't exactly tell you how it happens.
And I now that you tell me this and that you tell me that it's hard to explain, I also believe that some people are gifted with this ability. I know that we can all write something, but to make it something very vulnerable and something that can touch someone's feeling when they listen to the song, I think that's a huge gift not everyone has. And because of that, I also want to ask you if whenever you finish a song and you want to share it with these very few people that you just told me that you share your music with, are you
Mhm.
afraid of what they are going to think or their opinion?
Early days, I put a lot of weight. I put a lot of importance in their opinion and their thoughts. Um, but and I've been hurt a few times. I've been pleasantly, brilliantly surprised, and I've been hurt a few times. And so those experiences have taught me to not be attached to whether or not they like it or whether they don't like it. It's more important if I believe the song is saying something true. And the other thing is too is not every song is understood the first time you hear it. So a person's first impression isn't necessarily their real impression of the song, you know?
And that is something very interesting that you're saying, because that's what I love about music, because it has a certain magic that maybe the first time something caught your attention from the song, but when you see it and put attention to the song, you listen to it very differently, and you maybe even hear something that you didn't hear on the first time that you listen to the song. So
Mhm.
I want to ask you, the first song that you shared with us was Perfume.
Mhm.
To these two songs that you shared with us recently, a few days ago, I want to ask you if from all the songs that we have listened from you, was there one that surprised you how it turned out at the end?
I really love how Like Your God turned out. I love how that song turned out. I love, to be honest, I'm not necessarily, I don't love my music every day. I don't, there's certain days where I can't listen to it, where I don't like it. But just having this conversation with you, um, I'm proud of all of the music that's out. And in some ways, every song is surprising.
Speaking of these two songs, the last two songs that you shared with us, I want you to walk us through a little bit of the making process of these songs.
Like Your God and Howling, both of those songs were written incredibly fast, um, very quickly, and the production seemed to just unfold very naturally because the places were very, it was a dark place, it was a and a vulnerable place, and for whatever reason those came about very effortlessly.
And I think that's exactly what we can listen on both songs, how vulnerable you were when you wrote the songs. And that is something that I truly admire about your music, that you're extremely brave to share with those that listen to your music the dark side of you. Something that caught my attention was the cover of Dark Corners. So I want to ask you, how do you translate your music and all your emotions that are in your songs into something visual?
I guess it's not too different from music in the sense that there's a very specific vision and you don't always see it in here, but when you see it, you know it. It's just a matter of being patient with yourself.
And now we have talked about the beginning of your career, the last songs you have shared with us. But now I want to talk about the shows that I also believe are a huge part of an artist. And I know that in a few days we're going to have you here in Mexico City. So I want to ask you, how do you prepare yourself for such a very loud and passionate crowd that is a Mexican crowd?
I know that not everybody at that crowd is going to be there because of me. I know that they want to see, um,
Phoebe,
they
I
want to
know.
see, yes, who is a incredible artist, and so my expectations are low. I think I will probably be playing for people who have never heard of me, and I look forward to it.
And speaking of the fans, I want to ask you if we're going to have more surprises the rest of the year.
I kind of see the songs as being surprises in their own way. So if we're talking about that, I have lots of surprises for you. Um, in terms of videos, I'm constantly working on videos, and but I think this year is going to be a good one. It already feels pretty amazing.
And finally, to wrap up this interview, I want to ask you a really hard question. And
Okay.
it's okay if you cannot answer it, but I want to know, what would you be doing if you were not making music?
Hmm. What would I be doing if I wasn't making music? First of all, I wouldn't even want to know, Florence, because I wouldn't rather be doing anything else with my life.